Can you hear the music?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can hear it.
No, hey.
No, it's weird how it works. You know, it's like 50-50.
No, it's all good.
Makes me want to punch babies and put holes in drywalls and just party on, man.
Be 18 again.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Could you imagine? I don't think I'd want to.
You say be 18 again?
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be 18 again.
Hold on. Oh, yeah. Man, if I was 18 again, I'm just dreaming of all the hard-ons I had back then, you know? Like,
yeah.
Just thinking back to that time, you know, I never understood it when my dad said, never waste a good hard-on, you know? And, like, I'm fucking pushing 40, and fuck, I've never related to something more in my entire life.
Yeah.
You know? Like, oh, my God, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, like I say, I don't know if I could do it, man. Oh. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want. Go back to all that fucking, right?
I did some dumb stuff.
I didn't do that many. No, I was pretty well behaved and like, you know, I didn't do much stupid shit. I just, you know, I was a goody two shoes, I guess. At 18, you know, okay, so I turned to 18 in February of 2007. Right? So I turned 18, and when you're 18, I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but I grew up in Ontario, and in 2007, as soon as you turn 18, the school's not allowed to call home anymore, no matter what you do.
Oh, yeah?
They're not allowed to call home because you're an adult now. That's against the rules. Right? So nice. I never skipped a day of school, and I think as soon as I turned 18, I think I skipped a bunch. You know, like they couldn't call it. Yeah, the funny thing about that was 2 years after I graduated high school, they were calling home telling my dad that I skipped school. So I'm like, I don't even there, you know. Like,
if it helps, I skipped my first day of grade 10. My first day of high school, I skipped.
Fuck them.
It was downhill from there.
That's another weird thing. In Ontario, high school starts in grade 9, right? Your middle school from 6 to 8, high school 9 to 10 or 9 to 12, sorry. And then even when I was in high school, man, we had grade 13. You know, it was the OAC or something like that. It was like your victory lap if you wanted to do it. And then my last year, grade 12, I was doing anything I could to stay in high school. My last year, grade 12, they axed grade 13. So I was like, you're taking an extra year away from me, man. Like I'm not fully, I can't spread my wings and fly yet, you know? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, no, I honestly, man, I skipped my first day, grade 10, and skipped just about every day after that. By the time I was first semester of what would have been grade 11, the school gave my parents the choice that they could pull me out of school or they would expel me. And at least if my parents pulled me out, I could go back again. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to work.
Fuck yeah.
Right?
You know what? Hell yeah.
And then I tried going back a couple of times, like second semester, what would have been second semester, grade 11. I tried going back and I think I made it a week. I'm just like, again, this is not for me.
Yeah, I got decent marks, and then the end of grade 11 and most of grade 12, my wife carried me. You know, she like, like, you have a project due. I'm like, I don't really care, and she did it. Yeah. You know, she helped me do it, or you know, I think it was I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on it or not, but there was my law class. I took a law class just because. You know, I think she was in it, so I wanted to sit beside her, right? So, like, she was in it, and law is hard, right? And during that law exam, I was sitting next to her, and then there was another guy who was sitting across from her, and I'm sitting there copying the answers off of her, right, during the law exam. And the guy that was sitting across from her was also listening, you know, like, you know, and I'm like, yeah. So, like, you know, shout out to my wife for helping me, like, get through that last year of high school. You know, I didn't want to do it. You know, the world was waiting, right? I didn't know what was out there. It was scary time, right? And, you know, whatever. It ended up working out anyways.
Yeah, that's good. See, I'm kind of the opposite because, I mean, I have nothing against school. I hated the idea that I had to sit in a class and have somebody else tell me what I was supposed to know. Like I wanted to go learn the things that I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't the French Revolution. Like, like I got out there. I started swamping on trucks at like 15 years old.
Yeah. Like,
no. So we used to deliver groceries to all the camps up north. So at 15, I was on a run up to Zama City twice a week, which at 15 years old, that's an eye opener.
Yeah. Oh, no shit. Yeah. Yeah. How old are you now?
36.
Oh, we're the same age. Yeah, man. Like, yeah. You know, I was, you know, working for my dad at that age, you know, doing metal roofing and asphalt roofing and stuff like that, just construction and stuff. And, you know, like, yeah, that was an eye opener too, right? I started doing that when I was 11. And I think I talked about this recently on a recent podcast. You know, I started doing that when I was 11. And, you know, like, you always heard about, you know, oh, those blue collar guys over there, you know, stay away from those guys. You don't want to be like that, right? And you think even my dad had a little bit of that mentality before I started working for him, was like, hey, you're going to college. You know, like I remember we had this conversation one time. I think I was like 14, 15. I was working on a roof with him, and in the driveway of this guy's house was a Beamer, beautiful BMW. He's like, man, that's like a $50,000 car, you know? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, you got to go to college if you want one of them, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, well, like you drive nice vehicles, right? And okay, I need a Beamer in my life, or a Hummer, right? H2 is actually my all-time dream vehicle. And I'm thinking, you know, college is the route, right? Well, fuck, man. You know, you get out of high school and you make all this money in blue collar. The fuck do I need to go to college for, man? I'm making that kind of money, you know, using my hands instead of my brain, right? And perfect, because, you know, my brain leads me to some stupid places.
That's pretty good.
Out of my hands, but different story.
That's right. That's all right. Yeah, it's so true though, right? I mean, maybe not to get on a high horse already, but I mean, that's, you know what, that's one of the things that kind of bugs me, right? Is that mentality of like, you know, trades are second class, or it's like last resort, right? It's I always heard the guys, and it was always like, oh, you know, you go and get your journeyman certificate, and then at least there's always something to fall back on, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that always bugged me, and it still does, because it's one of those, it's like, why does it have to be last resort? Like, why can't it be my first choice? They're phenomenal jobs. They're better paying than anything. Like, man, I got a buddy. He's got a PhD. He's got more post-secondary than I have primary and secondary. Like, I'm not even joking. I think he's got like 13 years or something of post-secondary. Like, man, I don't even have a grade 10. And he's like, man, he's like, I should have done what you did. He's like, I wouldn't have had, you know, student debt. He's like, I would have been, you know, well into my career at that point. And he's like, it much better option.
Yeah. You know, I'm before we get too far into this, I just want to say,
that's all good.
Shout out to, you know, Jared. I almost called you Jordan. Holy shit.
Okay.
Wow, man. I can't even read, you know, blue collar, bro. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of On the Throne with Dick. And, you know, 8 minutes ago, anyway, shout out to Senjin Boychuk, you know, for that outro music. This week on the podcast, and I've been thinking about this in my brain, how I was going to introduce you, right? So your name there. You know, we got the CEO of Northcote Clothing, Jared, and I'm going to fuck it up on purpose, probably, Jared Quiring.
No, you nailed it.
Oh my God, did I get it?
Yeah, 100%, man. You nailed it.
I was trying to be funny there. Jordan Quiring.
No, you got it.
Yeah.
Grow up with that name.
Yeah, that's
on a little bit, eh?
Yeah. Did you take it off the chin a lot growing up, or what?
You know what? Every once in a while.
Yeah. That's funny. No, that's funny, man. Hey, you know what? Fuck it. Honor of Pride Month, right? We're in June. It's Pride Month. Yeah. We got Jared. Holy fuck. We got Jared.
Okay. If it helps, brother's Jordan. So.
Yeah. Oh, you got an older brother named Jordan?
Yeah.
You guys look alike?
Kinda.
That's my excuse. Fuck it.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. Jared Quiring. Welcome to, you know, we're at the end of Pride Month, I guess. So what's up?
Yeah. Just hanging out, man.
That's awesome, man. Man, I've been like shooting the shit with you a little bit here and there on TikTok or Instagram, whatever the fuck one it is, you know, or on the socials anyway. And yeah, man. And you know, you're on your second account here. You know, I can't remember what the site. You had a pretty decent following there on Instagram, you know, a while back, and now you're regrowing again. Yeah.
It's I mean, slow growth. I mean, the first one, I think we were 400 or 500, and I mean, for something that you're, you know, completely unfamiliar with and have no clue what you're doing, I mean, that's a pretty decent accomplishment. And then to have that swiped away and have to restart again, I mean, that's whatever. You do it, you grin, you bear it, and you just get back at it, and you keep plugging away.
Well, without naming names, you you're doing something right or
Yes.
along the right path. When certain companies, they see what you're doing, they've already got their following, right? They're doing their thing.
Yeah.
And you're in shark infested waters when you get something like that happen to you, right?
Yeah,
shit, I'm doing something right.
You know what? I wasn't even the slightest bit discouraged. Like, I was so pumped. I remember messaging my wife, like, just completely excited over it. Because it's like, man, you're exactly right. It's like, obviously you're doing something right. You're getting the attention of somebody else. And to have them, not that I'm a threat. I mean, we're in two completely different leagues, but I mean, it's obviously you're going the right direction that they're trying to stop you.
Yeah.
And yeah, to me, like, as far as our kind of like core supporters, I mean, they were pumped, they were excited, they reached out, they gave whatever ounce of support they could, and that was awesome to see. And I mean, that to me was just motivation. Just, we're doing the right thing. Keep doing it for the blue collar guys. Do it for the tradesmen, the guys that are out there grinding it every single day. Like, let's just keep this thing going.
Hell yeah, man. I don't understand that whole thing. Like when companies like that, you're not the first person that had on the podcast.
Yep.
Actually, an episode of the podcast that I couldn't air at the time. It was 2 years ago, and actually I lost that episode, and I messaged them to come back on, and they've read it, but maybe they're mad or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We did a whole episode, and then I was told, hey, no, like, if you want to be affiliated with us, you can't do that.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah. And you know what? 2 years into my podcast and 5 years into social media now, opportunities, they come and they go, right? I've kind of learned, there, some of these companies have a God complex, kind of, it's kind of like, if I can't support other companies or other blue collar people doing what you're doing too, if I can't throw my support around, then it's like kind of like when my dad made me choose between him and my mom, right? Well, you know what? Like, maybe she's a piece of shit. Maybe she's a piece of shit, but that's still my mom, and like, she didn't make me choose. You know what I mean? The fact that you were out here making me choose makes me not choose you, right? And so it's kind of wild that shit happens, and I feel bad about that one episode that I couldn't air. One that was a lot of time I took away from my family to record that podcast. Time that person took out of their family's time to record the podcast. And then, just the whole thing that, I kind of let someone else's ego or I don't know, God complex or whatever determine what I do, right? And that's not who I am, right? So I've had to really, step back and look at that, especially, in the last, probably in the last 6 months, it's really kind of been like, what? No, this is my social media. This is my podcast. I'll have on who I want. I'll make videos with what I want to make videos of. And if you don't like it, well, get off the ride then. You know what I mean? Like, you need me more than I need you.
It's funny, when you realize that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's wild, and even if they don't need me, well, like, I don't need them either, really, in my life. I was fine for fucking, 30 some odd years of my life, I was fine without them, so, I'll be just fine after them too. Right. And I'm not saying, we're not working together, but, if that ever comes up again, that's where I stand on it. So,
makes for I won't say tough relationship, but I mean, you go back to like mom and dad, right? I mean, it's not like you're getting a good deal out of it. It's not like you're getting 2 Christmases or anything like that, or extra presents. Like, if you want to play that game, go pound sand.
Yeah, my dad at least took me for ice cream because he felt bad. This, what are you doing?
Right.
Fuck you guys.
But like that said, man, it pumped me right up. It really did, because like I said, it's to me, that whole thing, it's not just a catchphrase to profit off of. Like, it's I mean it. I want to be saying that stuff. I mean, can't, but there's other ways that we can do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And like I said, there's enough room in that side of things for everybody. We could all have a good time. You know what I mean? Like if that was me, I look at it and I wouldn't view it as competition. I'd view it as, like what's good for you and good for me is good for the industry,
Yeah.
And whatever, you could beat that to death all day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah. And that's why, like, you know what? Didn't bother me. Didn't lose a second of sleep over it. It was basically, I gave Instagram a couple of days to unlock my account, and they did. It's like, okay, I'm not waiting around for this. Let's start a new one. Let's keep this thing going.
Yeah.
Again, the why I'm doing this is more important to me than anything else. So it's, let's get back out there and let's build up and support the guys that need it.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. I love that. So Jared, not Jordan.
Yep. No, you're good.
Or Jordan 2.0, who knows,
Never know.
How did you, what do you do? You said you're a general contractor, right?
So I'm a general superintendent for we'll call it a leading mid-size commercial contractor.
Nice.
Right. And again, that's a very, very new role for me, very new position. Just within the last couple of months. So the whole, I guess, role is just teaching, training, and mentoring, right? I've built buildings. I've spent my time in the dirt. I've kind of figured out my processes, procedures, and now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I want to teach other guys to be able to do it and do it efficiently. So it's how can I, one, just encourage them? How can we, get them functioning better, improve their processes, improve their procedures, and just improve them as much as possible?
Absolutely. Yeah. Although the next generation's coming up, right? You got the boomers are stepping aside or dying.
That one's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh my God, man. We've been talking about it for a few years now, and it's starting to happen, right?
Yeah.
Boomers, they're, at their youngest, they're 60, right? 61 at their youngest, and I think they're 80 something at their oldest, right? And a lot of them they're dying, right?
Yeah. But it's crazy because some of them, like I always called them coffin dodgers, right? Like they just keep on going and going and going, right?
3 cigarettes hanging out of their mouth, broken hips.
Yeah.
Back in my day, and
they're on their 5th wife, and
kids don't talk to them anymore, and they got like $3 million in equity sitting in the bank, and they don't care. They don't give a fuck, dude. That's the only way us millennials are gonna actually be able to survive is when they die. We're counting on them to die so we can survive. Daddy's got a house, and when he dies, he's leaving me a few $100,000. Sweet, because like you took everything and left nothing, and I'm waiting for your funeral. The day the boomers die, the millennials will celebrate across the world. Yeah.
But I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, we've seen it coming for a few years, and be at that point now where you're starting to see it. Because I mean, statistically, I mean, it's terrifying, right? You look for, what is it? It's every 5 to 7 baby boomers that are retiring. Only 1 to 2 people are actually coming back into the industry, and of that 1 to 2%, like the retention rate's as low as like 40%. It's insane. So, I mean, even worse than having a labor shortage is now you're going to have that transfer of knowledge. You got all these baby boomers that are leaving. They have this absolute wealth of knowledge, and there's hardly anybody to pass it on. Like there's the couple guys probably like us where it's like we're just kind of caught in the middle. We're just that generation. I learned under the old school guys, but I'm not an old school guy, and I'm kind of that bridge between old and new school.
Yeah. Absolutely. You got, like you just said, the boomers, they're retiring or dying off, and they're taking all that with them, right? You got Gen X, you got Gen X in there who are just like, they're not ready for it. They're not ready for the transfer, right? They're going to be the ones that are like, oh shit, and then millennials, man, at our oldest, I think we're over 40 now. The millennials, they're turning 40 or just over 40. At our youngest, we're like mid 20s or something like that, or just we're still a young generation. But on the older side of that, the 40-year-olds, we're starting to feel that the whole being left behind. We're being overworked. We're stressed out. We're not having time for what matters in life, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us are starting to realize that. And then you got behind us is Gen Z. And, you know, the boomers, they told us, hey, put your head down, grind it out, and the company will take care of you. Well, the millennials tried that. We got fucked over. And the Gen Zs behind us, they're seeing that, and they're like, no, we're going a different way, bro. Because, like, you know, you put your head down and you took it up the butt and you just said, yes, massa, and it didn't work out. Yeah, you know?
So, and I don't know how it is in your industry. Like in construction, it's really bad, right? You're getting the younger guys that are coming in.
Yeah.
But again, like that whole retention rate being so low, they're all bailing. And I was talking with a couple of the younger guys recently, and the biggest thing is they're like, cost of living. They're like, they realize they're never going to afford a house. They probably can't afford a decent vehicle.
Yeah.
They realize, you know what, we're probably going to be living at home with mom and dad till we're 40. So why work 40, 50, 60 hours a week when we can just work a part-time job down at Denny's? We can get enough to cover a phone bill and maybe some fun money. And so they've all resorted to that.
Or what we're seeing right now, the rise of the social media influencer. You know, you get a girl shaking her ass online, making more than a guy on a construction site. You know, you got a lot of that. You got a lot of guys. I don't know if you know who Jake Andridge is. He's from Alberta. He was I think he was the heavy duty mechanic in the oil field, and he struck it big on OnlyFans. That guy's got 14 million followers on TikTok, millions of followers all over the place. He's got like 20 million followers or more on the internet. Like, I think the guy's from Edmonton, right? And yeah, man, the guy makes money by showing his dick on the internet. You know, like he got a hog on him, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And, and he's one
of
them.
Guys like us. We can't zoom in enough for that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you need some tweezers, bro. You know, but like, that guy, man, that's how he makes his money, and he's making it. He's killing it. He doesn't have to work anymore. He probably puts in, you know, double the amount of work. And if his dick ever gives out on him, you know, he needs to take fucking the blue pill or whatever. He's fucked. But like, whatever, you know. And the guy wears these tight fucking Spider-Man costumes, Wolverine costumes, and he just fucking does transitions and dances and shit. And you can see the thing just fucking pulls it out. And I'm like, man,
just dangling, eh?
That's making me blush, you know, like, holy shit. Yeah, man. And that guy's blue collar, right?
Yeah, and again, like, whoever thought that would have been a like career path, like growing up?
Man, I just wanted to be a dope ass DJ. You know, kids these days could be literal meme lords, you know, and like make money off of it. Dude, I'm making money off of it, right? And like, I'm not making like enough to live, but almost, you know, like it's definitely my job is in the way, you know. I've been off work for a few months now on an injury, right? And you know, I've changed my life probably, you know, if I thought, you know, I could do it full time. If I wanted to take that leap, I probably could, you know, like, and I'm not even dived in full time like I want to, right? You know, I make, you know, a decent amount of money, enough to, you know, cover some bills or whatever off Facebook every month. You know, and that's just without even trying. I post I post a video every day on there, or some memes or a status. One or two of those videos might go super viral and like make me a decent. I got a video on there right now that's made me $500 American and I just, that saved my month, right?
500 American, man. That's enough to retire on. That's like 4 million Canadian.
Yeah, pretty much. But you know, like, I get one or two of those videos that do that a month. And I'm fucking laughing, you know, like, you know, I you know, and then, you know, I got some, you know, ad revenue from, you know, I made some ads for Carl's Jr. last year, and they paid a decent amount, and they called me back. I'm doing it again this year. And, you know, just shit like that. You got your hands in the pie, right? And, you know, sponsors on the podcast, you know, I'm always looking to get sponsors on the podcast, and they're not always like monetary paying me in monetary funds or whatever. Like, sometimes it's, you know, equipment or whatever I need, but, you know, that's still valuable stuff, right? You know, who knew, you know, 20 years ago, they said we wouldn't carry a calculator around in our back pocket with us everywhere. Well, fuck, we showed them, right? And then
no kidding.
You know, also, who knew, you know, hey, that calculator, also, I can calculate how much money I'm making just on my fucking screen. Why are you always looking at your phone? Let me show you why, right? Like,
yeah. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching, you know, and like, that's crazy, man. And yeah, it's, you know, a lot of people will say to me like, oh, wow, you know, get off your phone and while you're at work and stop making videos at work and actually do your work. I'm like, bro, I spend less time on my phone making these videos and shit like that than you do watching them at work. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting at work watching, or at home even afterwards, you're spending more time on your phone during the day than I am. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, like you said, like whoever thought that, 20 years ago growing up that, you know what, that's what you were going to be doing.
Yeah, man. I always knew I'd be on my phone while I was taking a shit and, you know, spending like an hour in there and getting those little red marks on my knees.
Downloading ringtones.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. Dude, did you see that meme everywhere, you know, like in 2006, I was paying like $10 for ringtones, and years later, my phone's been on silent for the last 7 years. You know, like, don't call me. It's not meant for that. You know.
I mean, man, that was a status symbol, right? You had to have the right ringtone, the right songs.
Oh yeah. Watch here. I'll text my wife right now. I'm gonna put my phone on ring mode or turn off the thing here. I just found out a way to get my own ringtone, and I made it on my phone using a program on my phone. I can take any song I want off the internet, put it in this program, and it changes it. Show you how to get it. It go right yeah. There we see, like, isn't that
technology's wild, man?
Yeah, man. I used to have to pay for that. You know, I used to have to pay for that ringtone.
Yeah.
That shit for free now.
Yeah.
Remember Punch Munch?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 10 cents every time you sent him a text. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah. Yeah, it was like 10 cents, man. I'd spend like $6-7 in the evening hanging out with my friends, just like, and my dad would get that bill and be like, what the fuck, you know? Like,
gotta try and hide it from mom and dad.
Yeah, man. So how did you get into what you're into there? You know, like the general like contracting stuff.
Yeah. I mean, just natural progression, right?
Yeah. Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. School wasn't for me, right? And I still remember like the last day that I skipped, getting off the bus, and I still remember my dad like sitting in a lawn chair at the front door. I mean, that was the longest walk of my life. Like having to walk up there because you knew what was coming, right? And my dad just gave me you're pulled, you're done, you're not in school anymore. Here's the keys to the vehicle. Don't come home till you have a job. Cool. All right. To me, that's what I wanted. Like that was dad's permission, so I could go do it, right? So I hopped in the truck, and I think I was back home half an hour later. I had a job, right? And so I did the long haul trucking thing for a while. I swamped, and then when we'd get on the back roads, I'd take over, and that's where I learned to drive. And again, whatever company would let a 15-year-old drive a loaded tractor trailer, I don't know, but they did. But again, I had work ethic, right? I knew I wanted more. I knew I wanted to, you know, outwork the guys next to me. I knew I didn't want to just I knew I wanted to be the guy on top. I knew I wanted to run the jobs. I knew I wanted to be in charge.
Wait, you wanted to be the guy on top? Jared Quiring during Pride Month.
I know, right?
Guy on top.
Yeah. So I ran trucks probably I don't know, year and a half. And so then by the time I was 17, like you know what, trucking wasn't the lifestyle I wanted. I did always like construction, so I gave it a shot, and I loved it. Like 100% dove in. Started working for a custom residential builder at the time, and you know what, it was good, but same thing. I wanted more, right? It wasn't a big company. It didn't have that flash and that appeal to me. So then I went into commercial construction, started my apprenticeship, and just pushed through. I got my journeyman certificate. I would have been 22, and I think probably within like 6 months after I had my journeyman, was the first time I ran a project. And again, like, I don't know who puts a 22-year-old brand spanking new journeyman running a job, but they did. And I crashed and burned so bad. Like, yeah, it was a little shop out in, where was it? Out in Riley. so a little ways out of the city. And
I know where Raleigh is.
Yeah. I don't even think I had foundations in for the building yet. And like, I was just burnt out. I was stressed. I'm like, man, I can't do this. I don't know what was going on. I hopped in the company truck, drove it back to the office, parked it outside the owner's window, walked in, dropped the keys on his desk. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm not doing it. Walked out. And then I just took a little bit of time, did some soul searching, whatever, and decided like, no, don't be a quitter. Get back in there, start doing it again. So got in with another company, and from there it just accelerated. I spent, I think, another 3 months as a carpenter. Before too long, I was back as a foreman, and then I was running jobs. And sooner than later, I think I signed a salary agreement. I would have been 24, probably somewhere around there. First time I signed a salary agreement and was officially a superintendent. I've just been doing it since. Not always well. Sometimes I've done pretty poor at it, but and then recently, like during COVID and all that, I ran my own construction company, and it was fun. Man, it was an absolute blast. I had so much work, it wasn't even funny. But I could not find quality guys. And that was the thing. Like, I had 3 employees. I probably could have hired another 2 for sure, if not another, like, a 6th. But the guys just weren't there. I'm running, 27 hours a day. My wife's losing her mind. Our 3rd kid was colic, so she's literally just in tears all day long. And I'm just like, as much fun as I'm having, I need to put this on pause and provide for the family, take care for the family. So I put mine on pause, and I came over to a company, and they'd been chasing me at that time for about 2.5 years. And so that was always a conversation that if I put my business on pause and I come over, within a while, I want a shot at a general superintendent, construction manager position. It wasn't that they had to give me the job, but I wanted at least a fair chance or fair opportunity to get it. Finally they rolled that position out in December, went through the whole interview process and slugged it out and finally got it. So here I am.
It's huge, dude. My dad, when I was 9 years old, we were on welfare. And my dad, my dad was working under the table and whatnot, but we were on welfare, and he moved because I lived in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and he moved. I'm from Hamilton originally, and he moved to Hamilton and to answer this ad about a job, and he was making $10 an hour, right? And $10 an hour in fucking what year? 2001, 2000, 2009, or 2009, 99, 2000, 2001, right? Yep. So like around there, he went to Hamilton. He left us in the Sioux, and he made $10 an hour. And basically the guy that hired him on, he had to drive him around, right? The guy didn't have a license, and he had his own business, and he had a DUI. And so my dad was his driver, and he trained my dad how to do this job. Well, within like 2 years, my dad had moved us out or back, I guess. And he was, going out, branching out on his own. It was a big deal. The guy ended up working for him at the end, but
really?
Yeah. It was kind of funny, actually. And my dad took that $10 an hour and he turned it into this trade and this skill. And he was self-made, like he made a couple $1 million, right? Yep. Like just fucking went to town on it. Very smart. However, anybody can make money. It takes a genius to keep it, and unfortunately, he wasn't a genius, right?
Yep.
And so he did all that, but he brought me on in the process. I was 11 years old. He brought me on, and he taught me this trade. And I same as you, I wanted to outwork these motherfuckers. I was 11 years old. These guys are 40 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, and they're just like, but they're broken, right? They're 40, they're 50. I'm getting that now. I understand.
It makes sense.
12-year-olds out working me, bro. You can do that. Your back ain't gonna be like that forever. And
have at her.
Yeah, have at her, man. So he brought me on there, and of course I'm the boss's son, so I took it off the chin a little bit, but I earned their trust along the way. Like, fuck my dad, right? Fuck that guy. He might be my dad, but fuck that guy, Like, we talk shit together. And then, he taught me some valuable lessons, the value of the dollar, what it takes to earn it, and how not to treat people.
Yeah.
And, like how he was treating them. But so I turned 18 and, graduation happened and whatnot. And then he's like, hey, I want you to take over my business, right? Like, I'm leaving this for you. This is my legacy, right?
Yeah.
18 years old, bro. I don't want your fucking business. You know, everything we've worked hard to build over the last 10, 11 years. I'm going to drive that shit into the ground tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, yeah, my dad ended up losing the company a few years back. He couldn't do it no more. His knees were shot. His legs were tired. He broke his ankle. Shit. Following in the footsteps of the old man. And yeah, no, he broke his ankle. His knees were shot. His back was done, and he lost everything. The way he spent the money, I don't think he has anything now. I don't talk to him, but yeah, man, my biggest regret probably in all that I would say was not taking that leap, not taking that chance on myself. He saw in me, maybe I had it in me, and back then I was like I guess I was like a puppy dog. Yeah, sure. I'd chase after what I wanted, but I'd probably hump the shit out of it and piss on everything along the way.
Leave it in a ditch later. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So and then I was with my wife. I was too busy. I was busy. I was busy getting busy. Right? Yeah, and so I had no interest. But looking back, maybe I would have liked to have done something like that. I'd get that opportunity and get that. Whatever, but now I've chosen my path, and here I am, and man, I don't have any regrets. If I did have one, that would be one, but I don't have any regrets in the path I chose. I love where my life ended up, so where it ended up so far.
Yeah, where you're at. Yeah, that's pretty awesome though.
Yeah, man. So it's a good time, dude. It's big believer big believer in everything happens for a reason, right? I didn't do that because I need to go this way, or I made this decision and end up going this way.
Yeah.
This way it might not be as cool as what another way could have taken me, but there's always a bright side to things, and there's always a lesson to be learned and all that, right? So I'm dealing with car shit right now, right? I got into a car accident a couple weeks ago, wrote my car off. It's not my fault. That wasn't at fault, but I felt like I was being punished. The last 2 weeks have been super stressful and dealing with insurance and car shit. And the dealer that I bought my car off of a year and a half ago, I was rebuilding my credit, right? So I was rebuilding my credit. So I got a really high interest rate, and expensive ass car. It was going to be like a fucking 6-7 year thing. But at the end of that, or even 3 years into that, I was going to upgrade, right? Well, I was only a year and a bit into it, right? Yeah. So now the dealer strapped me with the gap policy, which is, the insurance. They offered me $15,000 less than what my car was still had left owing on it. Yeah. So the gap shirt, I didn't know that I had the gap. So I'm like, fuck, man, I'm on the hook for $15K now. What the fuck? How am I going to do this? And then, so we found out I have gap policy. So I'm like, fuck yeah, gap. It covers that $15K up to 50. So I'm like, fuck, all right, we're good. Right? I started shopping around at other dealerships looking for cars. And then I was made aware by the paperwork and by the whatever the gap policies through there, that company is like, oh no. So that guy, he sold you the gap insurance. Lucky for you. But while he was helping you and high-fiving you, he was handcuffing you because in the policy, you have to buy your next vehicle from him.
Really?
Gap policy is invalid.
That's crazy.
Fuck, so I gotta buy it from that. So I was looking at another dealership for this one vehicle that I wanted to get, and I'm like, fuck, guys, I didn't know. And they're like, hey, let me call. This can't be right. So they called, and you can hear on the phone he's doing this thing, and he's like, he's got you, buddy. I'm sorry. And then he's like, but that's our sister dealership. We own that dealership. He's like, technically you're buying off him, right? We just got to split the deal, right? So boom, we made something work. Then it's taking this long because the other guy, he doesn't want to split the deal. He doesn't want to do the work, right? So fucking slimy salesman, You
got to be pretty greasy to do that.
Greasy, man. So you know what? In the end, things worked out. I pushed and I jumped through all their hoops. I got something now that's a little. It's not new and it's not. I liked my car, but we originally wanted a minivan, and we ended up getting an SUV, which whatever. But it was nice, and the vehicle I got, I'm going to be out of this deal 4 years sooner. Yeah, and it's $10,000 or $20,000 cheaper, and in the end, it worked out. In the end, it worked out, and there was a lot of stress and a lot of fucking a lot of tension in this house over the last, 2 weeks, and it was just like, hey, I'd say the wrong thing, I get snapped at. She'd say the wrong thing, she gets snapped. Like, hey, I'm sorry, it's not you and me versus each other, it's you and me versus the problem, right? And so we went through quite a bit of shit, but in the end, we're just sitting there laughing, like, fuck, this worked out in the end. You know what I mean? Like, it's
that's one thing that I love, right? It's just like, the whole no regrets, right? My whole credo. Yeah. Like, you're 100% right. Like, everything gets you to the place that you are.
Yeah.
And if you're happy and content with where you are, why would you be mad or upset with, stuff you did in the past?
Yeah, 100%, man. I agree with that. What this is really showing me too, right, is I usually have zero fucks, this construction, oil and gas. You gotta go with the chaos, right? Like, your original plan A is never gonna work out, right? That's why you have plan B, C, and D, because plan A, that's a great fucking plan. In the perfect world, plan A is gonna work, right?
Yeah.
And then plan B is like, well, just in case, and that's not going to work. So, that's why I got C and D, right? And then in the end, none of them work. And, you kind of just gotta throw some Frankenstein shit together last minute. Well, this is exactly what happened, right? And, this is what was funny about it, is because I'm like, fuck, this just reminds me of work, just go with the chaos, and I love that, it was
you say that, man. I'm pretty sure I'm on like plan M, and maybe I'm to P already. I don't know. Like, I'm way down there. But you just roll with it.
Yeah.
The way it's like running a job site, right? It's like, it's just one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Right. You have to go build a building. You get your drawings. You get all your paperwork, documentation, whatever. You walk out there. It's a big giant green field. It's like, man, where do you start? And it's like, you just have to start somewhere. And it's one foot in front of the other. Keep the thing moving forward. You're gonna get hit with roadblocks. You're gonna get sidelined left, right, and center. But it's just one foot in front of the other. Keep going. Keep moving forward.
I don't know. We talked earlier if we were going to postpone this podcast because the Oilers game 6 is currently happening right now. And we were like, no. And I told you, like, I'm not watching this game because I want to be the Oilers' good luck charm. Well, there's about a minute left of this game, and the Panthers just blew the Oilers out. It is. Dude, the Panthers are the 2025 Stanley Cup champions again, dude. And
there's no comment. You know what? I can admit it. As much as I want the Oilers to win, man, the Panthers are good.
The Panthers are fucking phenomenal, dude. Fucking Bennett though.
It's like a little bitter to say it, but I mean it's true.
I'm a Leaf fan, bro. Marchand just follows us around. Yeah, dude. I'll admit this too, dude. I'm done with hockey. I'm fucking tired. It's gone on way too long now. I said it earlier too to my wife. I'm like, I fucking hope the Oilers lose tonight because I just don't want another fucking game.
Yeah.
I just fucking finish it. Hoist the cup. The Panthers and their 8 fans can celebrate, and then we can all. But we all know they got more than that now. I remember back in the day, I followed the Leafs to Florida to see a game, Leafs versus Panthers in Sunrise. And the building was like, half empty, I guess, or half full, depending on how you look at it. The Leafs lost, and one of the Panther fans came up to me, and he's like, "You're a Leaf fan?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Thanks for coming down. Thanks for checking us out." And he's like, I don't know how you do it, man. Your Leafs, they stink. And there you go. Panthers win it. There you go. It's all. Sam Reinhart scores 4 goals. Sam Reinhart scored 4 goals in this game. Man, holy fuck. Reinhart carried the fucking team.
And you know what? We'll get up tomorrow and everything will be exactly the same, and we'll just keep doing what we do.
I live downtown Edmonton, bro. This shit's gonna catch on fire tonight.
I was telling the wife that. I'm like, we have a job site right in Ice District Plaza right now. I'm like, oh, please don't have any windows smashed in the morning.
Where do you work, if you don't mind me asking?
Keller Construction.
Oh, you work for Keller. Okay, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah, So yeah, we went down to Florida, and he said to me, he's like, the only reason why this place is packed right now is because the team's doing good. He's like, other than that, no one would be here. I don't know how you Leaf fans do it, right? And I'm like, fucking pain and suffering is the name of the game, my man. And I paid $70, so 35 each, 70 together to sit at the glass beside the Leafs bench.
Really? Yeah.
That's when Luongo and Yager were there. And awesome. Yeah, man, I remember that was cool. I think fucking Tyler Bozak, Phil Kessel, JVR, James Reimer I sat right beside James Reimer. And yeah, man, it was
that's cool.
Yeah, dude, it was wild, man. I try to I get a goal to follow the Leafs around in every rink in the NHL.
Yeah.
That's my overall goal, but I'm halfway through the league, so it's pretty cool. I can't wait. I heard Atlanta's getting a new team, which is good for Canada because every time Atlanta gets a team, they move to Canada. So, shout out to Atlanta.
There's some hope for us.
Yeah. Maybe the GTA will get another team. Maybe Quebec will get another team. Who knows?
Yeah. Where do you think? I don't think it'd go GTA. Do you?
Nah, then Toronto would want a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Do you know what viscosity is?
Yeah.
What's viscosity in your own words?
In my own words? Oh, shoot. I wasn't prepped for that. Let's see. How do I put it? The movement of fluid?
Yeah.
The ability for a fluid to move?
The thickness of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. That's better.
Yeah, so where I'm going with this, the podcast is sponsored by the Mudman, right? And the Mudman deals in the thickness of fluid. How thick is your load? Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Not making money on OnlyFans.
Not making money on OnlyFans, bro. There's actually a study that was done back in the 1930s and 40s by a mustached man in Germany. And he would take twins and he would castrate one and he would leave the other alone. And dude, this is actual straight up facts. And they noticed this. Yeah. And years later, they went and they looked at all the findings and stuff like that. The one that they castrated had long hair, golden, long locks, a sick flow, right? Yeah. And the one they left alone, high testosterone, bald, right?
Is that what causes it?
High testosterone. You got lots of testosterone. Your testes are good, bro.
As far as I know.
So the Mudman, he deals in the thickness of your load. He's got all the high tech tools, and when they're measuring, they got the Viz cup out on the rigs, and for all your drilling fluid and laboratory testing equipment needs, the Mudman's got your back. And the Mudman's had this podcast back, for 2 years, over 2 years now. Awesome. I needed a mic and headset. The Mudman was there. He had my back. And last summer, I think we're just about a year into her now. He bought me a brand new MacBook Pro, and I do all my editing on that. I record on it now, so the Mudman's been there, and in more ways than just for the podcast too. He's been there as a guy I could talk to, and when I need to bounce ideas off him, and he just messages me every and then out of the blue. He's a solid guy, so yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
man. That's one of the best things. I love with the whole blue collar community. It is some of the best people you'll ever meet.
Fuck. Dude, you said it earlier, right? You got a guy with a PhD who was on your crew. He's just, fuck it. It didn't work out for me over here. Blue collar, and you see that a lot in the oil field. You see that a lot in blue collar. I worked with a lot of people who, whether they were just there to pay for school along the way, blue collar, paved their way through school I worked with a girl who was now a brain surgeon. She
awesome.
Just wanted to pay for her doctor, her med school shit, right?
Yeah.
I worked with a few people who were there paying their teachers college. They just wanted, how cool is that? Hey, I'm teaching a class of grade 3s. Well, she respects blue collar now, right? She did that. She lived that life, and she can be like, hey guys, maybe not discourage them from using their hands growing up. Hey, I'm a teacher now, but I've lived this blue collar life. And, it helped me
breaks down that stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. It puts them quite literally into our boots, and that's cool. And then, you know, I worked with a few guys who went to law school, and they were just like, it didn't work out for me, you know, and now I'm in the oil field. You know, I came to pay off my debts and I never left. Right. And you get shit like,
you know what? And the opposite too, right? It's like, man, the number of people I knew that, you know, they were highly educated, university educated, they were teachers or stuff like that. And then they just decided, like, you know what, I'd rather work outdoors. I'd rather work with my hands. And so they quit it, and doing pretty good doing that. So
fuck yeah, man. I love that.
Yeah. It's what's so cool with the blue collar industries is like the barrier to entry is so low. Yeah, you absolutely, you get the guys where it's their last resort, where, you know what, they just need payday on Friday so they can go and get their fix or whatever. Like you're gonna have those guys, but again, like, you can have anybody and everybody get into this industry. It is cool.
Yeah, man. Like you said, right? Like the barrier to get in is low. The qualifications to get in is low. And it's like low risk, high reward, right? Like you could come in, you literally know nothing, right? You can come in, you can start this, climb the ladder, and in a decade or less even be at the top of the food chain, you know? Like you could be running, you could show up, not know what it takes to be a leader. You know, you get all these amazing, you know, examples of how to be that. You know, this guy might not be a foreman or whatever, but like he is still a leader on the crew. He is still someone the boss looks up to and be like, hey, man, can you go do this for me? Like, I trust you to do this. You know, you're not the foreman or anything like that, but like you're a leader on this crew. And then you can go and like, you know, go and inspire other people. And then this guy that you're inspiring, you know, you've got to, and that's another thing, you got to treat these guys right, because one day they could be your boss, right? And like that, you know what I mean? But you see that all the time in the oil field. You know, you're on this job with this guy and he's new and you're shitting on him. You're just, you know, beating him up. And, you know, a decade down the line, you show up on another job site and guess who's your boss, right? And he's not, he doesn't forget, right?
Nope. He's held that chip on his shoulder for a while.
Yeah, well, the way I look at it now, right, is taking me a long time to get there, but like, you know, more coaching, less criticism, you know, and we need that. We need that more than ever nowadays, right? Like these kids, we talked about this, and I'm just starting to figure this out a lot. Did you know that it's illegal? I know in Alberta, I don't know about all of Canada, it's illegal. They're not allowed to fail you in school. They're not allowed.
Yeah.
You have to have the parents' permission to hold them back. And if the parents don't give the permission, they have to keep pushing them through. Whether they're learning or not along the way, they have to keep going, right? And what we're
trophies.
saying, those kids are coming into the workforce now. They've never known how to fail, right? And that's in our quest to be different than our parents, in our quest to parent differently and be a little more gentle than what we got. We overcorrected, and we're doing some serious damage there. We needed some correction. Maybe we've gone too far.
Yeah. You know what? I always looked at it as construction. Like we're in the people business. We're not in the business of, you know, building things. It's a people business. Absolutely. The buildings are a byproduct of that. So I'm thankful. Like I learned that early on, how to one, just treat people with respect, and just value them. Right, is one of the biggest wastes you can possibly have on a job site is underutilized potential. Right, so if I'm not taking the opinions of the guys around me, like I'm doing myself a disservice. Like I look at it, if I'm running a job and I got, you know, 60, 70 guys on it, that's 60 or 70 guys that might have the right answer. I just have to put my ego aside and have the conversation, ask the guys, and like, let's keep this thing moving forward.
Just because you've got the white hat doesn't mean that you know all the answers, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and so that's one that I try and teach. Like as a superintendent, I'm not going out on site. Like I'm not some big dick swinging whatever. Like I'm not there to prove that I've got this white hat. Like my job, my responsibility is to make sure that everybody else on that project has what they need to be able to do their job.
Absolutely.
That's it. I need to remove roadblocks and make sure that they have the information they need, the tools they need, the equipment, material, whatever it is. Make sure that they can be successful. That's what'll make me successful.
Absolutely. Hey, you said you work for Keller and like in the downtown area, right?
Yeah.
Were you recently in Inglewood, Woodcroft area on that old folks home there?
No, that was us, but I wasn't on that project.
Yeah, during the last couple months, and even a little bit when I was home before I was injured, I would go over there and sneak into the porta potties and make videos. I'm not at work, I'm not at site, right? So I'd go sneak over there. I'd get out of my car and I'd just be like, no one's. I put on my hard hat,
check around,
my coveralls, and be like, no one else is wearing coveralls on these jobs. Wear my coveralls. I'd park right as close as I could, and I'd just park right beside it, and I'd like sneak in. I'd make. Dude, I had to use this pink porta potty because someone was in the blue one, and I was like talking, and then I heard them. I'm like, shit, and I fucking come out, and this woman's waiting to use that porta potty, and I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah. This is awkward.
Yeah, this is awkward, bro. Like, is this a union?
That's when you see that you can't judge these days.
No, fuck no. Yeah, you can't.
No, you can't say anything.
Gender.
No,
I got a beard and like
I know how to play the game.
Yeah, fuck you, right? Like, are you guys union?
No.
Oh, good. No. So I wasn't stealing some union members.
No, you're fine. You're good. No, you're good.
That's awesome, man. How did you come up with Northco? Like, why did you call it that? And how did it start?
Yeah. So, honestly, so my construction company, like when I ran my own, it was North Construction. I don't even know where I came up with that. It has honestly, it's a name. It had no personal meaning, anything like that. I'm just like, man, it looks cool. I had a cool logo for it. I'm like, let's rock with that. And as I started like buying into, I guess, believing in my company and the way it was going, like then I really took hold of that name and then it became something for me. But doing Northco clothing, the honest answer is I had zero intention of doing a clothing company at all. Yeah, like honestly, and it's not the end goal for me either. So it all started. I knew I wanted to give back to the industry. I knew I'm a positive guy. I know I'm walking around. I'm that forever optimist. It doesn't matter how hard it's raining, the sun's still out somewhere, right?
Hell yeah.
And I love the trades. I love working in construction. I live and breathe for it. I feed off of it. It's what gets me up and gets me going in the morning, right?
Blue collar right now is trending, right?
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool to see, man. We talked about it a lot. How growing up, blue collar was shit on. We've been shit on.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years, it's cool to be blue collar.
It is, right? And so where it actually hit me is like I was trying to figure out how outside of my own job site, how can I help the industry? Because I mean, it's just hard watching these guys show up, and it's the actual turning point for me where I'm like, okay, I have to do something. Is one of my carpenters walks into the job shack at lunchtime. He sits down at the break table, and he's just looking depressed as can be. And it's like, man, you good? You okay? He's like, 15 more years, man. I'm like, that's a prison sentence. That's not good. And he's just like, 15 more years and I can retire.
Fuck, I got 20 to go, bro.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that is the worst possible way to look at it. Like, I changed my mentality years ago, and it's not like I have to do this. I chose to look at it as like, I get to do this. I get to wake up every morning, and I get to go do some of the coolest things with some of the coolest people there are, and the opportunities are endless.
The so funniest people too.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there. Yeah. So that said, I was like, okay, my end goal is I want to create essentially a training and development program, right? And if we can just teach some guys some basic skills and not even like trade skills, just life skills, and show how blue collar work can tie into that. I just want to better people. And so as I was kind of thinking about that, I'm like, well, how else do you create a brand? Like I'm trying to create content or, create this training program. Like, how do I build a brand, right? So that at least it's recognized when I come out with hey guys, here's a training platform. I at least have something to stand on. So I was like, well, shirts, hoodies, hats, why not? Might as well get something going.
Hell yeah.
And so that's where I started with Northco Clothing.
Well, man, you know what's blue collar worker, you know, I know when I'm on site, what's some of our, you know, pick me up things, like what makes a guy feel good, right? The guy shows up on site, hands you a hat, hands you a shirt. Hey man,
we're easily bought.
Oh dude, pizza parties.
I know. You give me some hard hat stickers, man, I'll be humping your leg all afternoon.
I got my own hard hat stickers. I started for the same reason. I got my own merch line too, my own shirts and stuff like that. They're just jokes and shit, like Dick Frost, or you have like wife beaters, except for I call them dick beaters, right? And like like, stuff like that, and you know, just my cartoon face and stuff like that. And you know, they don't do all that, but I don't care, right? If someone wants one, it's there. I got hard hat stickers. I give 99% of them away. I don't. They're $1 on my website. Fucking, you get a sticker. You get a sticker. You want 10? Here's 20, right? You know, I don't care, man. It's a lot of fun, you know, and it's my way of giving back too, right? You know, so the podcast is also sponsored by BetterHelp, right? And I worked hard for that one. And you know, BetterHelp is, you know, the world's largest online therapy provider with over 35,000 therapists and shit like that. And you know, I was recently diagnosed this year with borderline personality disorder, and it's fucking rocked my world, dude. You know, I was already having mental health issues, and you throw this on there, and you know, not talking to my dad, having an estranged relationship with my parents, you know, all that shit. And, you know, working all those hours away from home, not knowing if my kids fucking love me or not, you know, and if what I'm doing is right or wrong for them, you know. And so, you know, that one was really hard to get BetterHelp. And, you know, I was proud. I was fucking proud when I got that, because, you know, there's a discount code, which is like Frosty D, betterhelp.com /FrostyD for 10% off help, right? Therapy. Right. And I fucking am so proud of that. That's my way of giving back. It's one of my ways. And then, you know, the stickers, the shirts and shit like that. And then, you know, just the videos themselves. I was made aware of this in the last year. The videos themselves, right? Like, they make me laugh, and I made them because I needed to laugh. Other people have done the same thing. And, you know, I've teamed up with, you know, safety companies like, what NWT Safety, Brasco Safety, you know, for gear, you know, discount codes, you know, here, you need a pair of boots. You're just a new guy getting in. Here's a pair of boots, right? They gave me NWT Safety this year in camp. They gave me a handful of PPE to throw into the donation bin, brand new.
That's awesome.
Balls, gloves, safety glasses, right? And then, you know, I recently got a pair of boots from Rock Rooster, right? And they're on Instagram themselves, you know. And Rock Rooster, you know, is rockroosterfootwear.com. And, you know, that's not your typical code. You know, most codes are 10% off. This one is Frost 15, you know, you get 15% off a pair of boots, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
I love that, dude. That's my way of giving back to my people, you know, and
huge.
You know, it's anything. You say 15%, 15% is a lot when you don't have anything, right? So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I look at it as you talk about the mental health issue, right? And it's huge in the industry. Like, guys, the industry isn't what it was, you know, 30, 40 years ago. Like, it's tough. It's demanding. And I honestly think that's why a lot of younger kids coming in are getting out of it so fast, because they've been sold that it's, you know what, there's endless opportunities. There's so many jobs. It's good money, whatever else. But they're not being told that it's hard work. You're probably going to miss some time with some family. You're probably going to miss a couple of holidays. You're going to be yelled at, you know, more times than you'd like. And yeah, I think that just adds to the whole mental health issue. The other one I look at is, and this is one of the things that we want to teach on, is we kind of have it as our 4 foundational pillars: faith, family, finances, and fitness, right? If those are the areas that I've seen that people are struggling the most, which is taking them down that, you know, issue, like the path with all the mental health struggles, like finances. I mean, you know it. I know it. Anybody that's been in the trades long enough knows it. We suck with our money, right? like if I look back, like, I don't know about you. I know that, like, I learned about finances around the break room table, and what do those guys know about money? They don't. They know that they blow their paycheck.
Still working.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They get paid on Friday and they piss it all away, and by Monday, Tuesday, they're broke again, right?
Well, nowadays with inflation, right, you get paid on Friday and your bills took most of it by Saturday.
Yeah. Right? Oh, that's painful. Yeah. Between that and taxes.
No, but shit.
But that's one of the things that we want to start teaching on. It's like, okay, the trades are good money if you don't waste it. So how can we start bringing in the right people, start developing a program that, hey guys, create a simple budget. You're making X amount of dollars. Where's it going? Right. And if you could, like, if I look back, if somebody would have taught me that when I was, getting into the trades at, 16, 17, whatever it was, I'd probably be retired by now.
Yep.
I did it a few years ago. I went and added up like all my T4s for my entire construction career.
Oh God.
It's nauseating.
Dude, what was the number?
It was like 3 point some million. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't quite that high. It was over 2 million though. But regardless, like, it's a lot of money. And you're like, if somebody would have taught me how to manage that from the start and not like this late in the game, I'd be laughing. I could work 10 hours a week and be comfortable.
Shit. Yeah. That mental health thing you were speaking of, right? Like, man, it was a painful way for it to happen and whatnot, but breaking my ankle has been, it's kind of been, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's kind of been not a guiding light. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, bit of a blessing.
It's been a little bit of a blessing. Let's call it that. You know, I'm going back to work in the next 2-3 weeks, right? Like it's, they're hounding me, is coming. But it's been 4 months, right? And what's happened in that 4 months, man? My wife and I, we've got to reconnect. We got to, it's been 14 years since I started working in the oil field. 13 years. We've got to reconnect. I've got to bond and build a connection or a relationship with my children that I've never had before. I watched my oldest daughter ride a bike without training wheels 2 weeks ago now.
That's awesome.
For the first time. That's huge. I got to attend my youngest daughter's play school graduation. That was cool. Yeah. And in the last 3 months, I've had to hobble in there at times, but I joined the parent teacher council at my daughter's school, right? I get to sit in, and my wife's she's been on it all year, but I've got to sit in on it
and be part of it.
Actually be a part of it. Find out what they're learning, find out what's happening within the school. Yeah. Find out what's going on, dude. And I was gonna volunteer for a field trip that they had today, but like I walked for 10-15 minutes yesterday, and that knocked me on my ass for the rest of the day. And today my foot's just been aching, right? And I had physio today, and she's like, "Yeah, man, that's gonna happen. You're learning how to walk again. You're rebuilding those muscles, right?" She's like, "You're not just gonna like run overnight, right? Like, this guy ran so Dick could break his ankle, so Dick could walk again, so he can maybe run one day again, right?" Yeah, dude, and it's just, it's been good for the spirit. It's been good for the soul, having time off and reconnecting with family and shit. It's been great.
That's important. And that's one of the things we want to teach on, right? Is that's why family is one of the pillars. It's, I don't know how many guys, I mean, we joked about it earlier, like how many guys are on their 5th, 6th marriage, their kids don't talk to them, they hate their wives, they'd rather work the overtime than have to go home. And I'm like, that's not good. That's not healthy. Like if we could get back to teaching, being present in your family, prioritizing your family, and just being like, that's the whole reason you're going to work.
Yep.
Right. Like let's not lose sight of that. As much as we love work.
That guy working overtime to avoid his family. Yeah. That was me last summer. I wasn't avoiding my family. I was avoiding the monsters in my head. Yeah. I was avoiding myself, dude. I was avoiding going home and looking at my family and and being like, like, am I doing enough? Am I enough for these people? My wife was telling me all the time, but that's I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and that's some childhood trauma and shit like that, BPD, and man, that's tough when you're in your head like that. Borderline personality disorder is the most painful mental disorder you could have, and it's actually on the MAID program list.
Oh, really?
The government would rather help me end my own life than to help support that.
See, yeah, like I got a problem with that. Like, let's get down to the root cause.
Yeah.
Let's not just don't just give somebody a way out.
Yeah, dude. And it took me a while to realize, like, I'm not avoiding going home to avoid my family. I'm going home to avoid myself and who I become when
I get that.
Like that, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people we've talked about on the podcast before, there's a lot of people who go home and they sit in their driveway for an hour after they go home, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about that, during the day you have no control. At home, you go home, you have no control, right? You're always molding yourself to fit into someone else's life, right? Well, you go home and sit in the driveway. You control the music, you control the atmosphere. You're getting your shit right to even go home, walk in the door and give them 10%. You know, and honestly, dude, that's huge, man. We need to figure out a way how to end that. And I'm glad that I have my wife. She said something to me that was so powerful, and this is before I broke my ankle. She said something to me in January, I believe it was. I made a video out of it, and it was meant to be like a hey guys, you're not alone type thing. And some people took it a different way, that maybe I was filming for clout. But I was laying in her lap and she was rubbing my hair and we were having this conversation. The camera wasn't on at this point. And she's like, every day I had to fight you for you.
Yeah.
Every day. Let me say that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day I had to fight you for you.
Yeah.
Right. And and man, and fucking that brought me to tears, man.
No kidding.
My wife's an incredible woman, and dude. Even I joke around with her sometimes. I tell her, like, I think she likes to see me cry. I'm like, I think you say this shit and do this shit and have these conversations with me because you want to see me tear up and cry. I'm like, you like when I'm vulnerable and I'm being a little bitch, right? And she's like, no, I just like having conversations with you. We've been together 20 years, and the communication on my part was not there, right? Like I wasn't telling her how I was feeling. I wasn't, all this shit was building up inside, but my childhood, my dad, my parents, and all just in general. And, in the last 3 months, it's all come out, and I'm going to therapy on BetterHelp for that too. Right. And shout out to my therapist, Ian, he listens to the podcast. I've convinced him to listen, shout out to that guy, man. He's definitely found ways to open me up for sure, right? And on the podcast over the course of 2 years and social media for 5 years, I've been a very big advocate for mental health and being very big at saying, "Hey guys, talk. We're here. We need to open up more. We need to talk." But like in real life, I wasn't practicing that.
Yeah.
And
you're not walking the walk.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not walking the walk, and but now I'm talking the talk and walking the walk. I'm talking about it. I'm getting it out, and I'm opening up. I'm being that person that I want to be, right? And that's huge.
And that's awesome.
That's huge, man.
Yeah, and see, that's one of those things. It's like I just want to see more of that, right? I had a friend. We'll put it that way. Not super close, but I mean, it was a work friend that a couple of years ago just got overwhelmed with, all the stresses of work and running a business and whatever, and chose to take his own life. And it's like, man, you look what he left behind, and like, not mad at the guy for doing it, but it's like, man, I don't want to see other people go through that.
Yeah, man.
Like what his wife had to deal with. I mean, they were newlyweds, like a couple of years into their marriage, and you're leaving that behind. Like, man, that's hard to see.
I saw my dad. Sorry, go ahead.
No. And so that's why it's just like, you know what, for me, it's, I just want to see guys, one, just be healthy, head, mind, body, spirit, whatever. Like let's get healthier. but stop bottling everything up. Stop trying to be the macho guys on site. Like, hey, if I mean, I tell guys on site all the time, like, if you need somebody to talk to, like, open door policy, come into my office, let's have a chat. And I mean it.
Yep. You have to, right? And they have to be able to trust you. They have to be able to know that you mean it, right? Because if they think it's just all talk 1 month of the year, right? They're not going to trust that, but it's 365 24/7 thing, right? So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. But like for me, it's if we can help guys improve in, like I said, our 4 pillars: faith, family, fitness, finances. Like if we can improve in those areas, I just think everybody's going to be doing so much better. It's like even the fitness one. I mean, trades. We're known for you go and grab a burger, you go and grab some 7-Eleven taquitos or whatever for lunch. Like that's not good, man. Teach some guys, like you don't have to be 6-pack abs, but I mean, take care of your body a little bit. Work on some mobility. Lift some weights every now and then. Go for a walk. Like I get it. You're outside. You're working all day long. But I mean, that's a different strain on your body than actually getting out there and again treating your body right, lifting some weights, improve your diet. Again, take care of yourself, guys.
Right. The there's been this stigma around the blue collar lifestyle that it has a shelf life, right?
Yeah.
Like your body's only going to carry you so far and it's going to be done. Make your money and get out while you can, while your body still holds up. Well, it doesn't have to be like that, like you just said, take care of yourself, eat right, treat your body right. And, that extend that shelf life, you can get an extra 15, 20 years out of your life, in general, if you treat your body right. Well, you see some guys in their 50s that are in the oil field and they're just they're ripped, they're jacked, and they're living that life. They go to the gym, they're they're taking care of themselves and they're still giving her, right? They're not broke. Yeah.
But even the effect that has on your mental health, right, is again when you're feeling like your body isn't hurting all the time, you're feeling okay about yourself when you put on a shirt like that goes a long ways, right?
Yeah, man. Dude, I don't want to take my shirt off right now. I've been sitting around for 4 months, dude. 3 months. I've gained 20 pounds. I said this a lot. I was confined to the basement, right? I sat on the couch in the basement watching TV, doing work. I was still on modified duties. I still had to go into the shop every now and then. But I was confined to the couch. If I had to do that upstairs where all the snacks were, oh my God, it would have been
in trouble.
I couldn't get up the stairs to get my own snacks, so well, I'm glad it was only 20 pounds, and I've already lost almost 10 of that in the last, 2 weeks or so. Right. And it's water weight, right? I'm just getting it off. And, I said this a couple of weeks ago, I can almost see it again. Right. It's there,
OnlyFans, here I come.
Oh, dude, it was so bad, right? Like I joked around a lot about this time about how I was laying so much pipe, I'm home all this time. I'm just fucking learning how to thrust on one leg, right? And dude, all my blood was rushing to my foot. It was swollen all the time, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't get a hard on for the life of me, right? That was mentally tough. You know what I mean? Am I fucking broken? Now my leg's broken. Is that broken too? Right? Oh my God. And then, I thought it was the energy drinks. I was still drinking a couple energy drinks here and I was off. I cutting. So it was weird. I cut down on the energy drinks, and a few days after I cut down, it was 4 days, 5 days later, I got an erection. I'm like, fuck. Call the wife. I'm on the way. Right? And I'm like, fuck, it must be the energy drinks. It just happened to be that, okay, we can go one time and this, it was, and the doctor, I talked to the doctor about, she's like, yeah, your fucking foot is broken, bro. All your blood's rushing down there. It's swollen all the time. You're not going to get blood much anywhere else. Right.
Yeah.
And turns out, when the cast came off, the cast was restricting it too, right? So when the cast came off, within a day or so, it was like, Daddy is here all the time. Right? Holy shit. And, that helped the mental health a little bit too,
I'm sure it did.
I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, well, I can't. Why is there no life in this thing? What's going on? I don't even turn myself on. What's going on here?
Now it's make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah. Oh, bro, we're trying for a third kid here. So, that's whenever
exciting.
I could over the last few months has been, go, go, go. And now since I've cast off this last month, it's been like, hey, what's up? Daddy's here. The kids are at school, like, what's up? Like,
make use of some time.
Make use of some time, man. Yeah, we're trying. I'm trying for that boy, My luck, I'll get another girl.
You got 2 girls then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same as me. I got 2 girls. My third was a boy.
How old?
Yeah. Oldest is 7. My middle turned 6 this week, and then my youngest is 3. It's a blast.
Nice. My oldest is 7. My oldest is 7. My youngest, who is also would be the middle, is 5 in a couple months. So the other one's 7.5.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. It's a different kind of work. It's
exhausting.
I can work a 20-hour day, no problem, and come back have a little bit of energy for other things.
Yeah.
Chase those kids around for 8 hours, man. I'm done. I need to stop. I need to sit down.
I tell my wife all the time, it is easier for me to go and run a job site, with 90 guys on site than it is to stay at home for 8-9 hours with the kids.
Yeah.
Like, all the power to her. Like, absolutely amazing what she can do.
Absolutely, man. I'm pumped. I've called her the economic, or not the not the economic. I called her the engine of the family, right? Like how she fucking does that. She's a stay-at-home mom, and how she does that day in and day out is beyond me, dude. Like, I would have went for milk 5 years ago, like.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I get left with the kids, and it's like, man, what do you do? It's like, let's go to grandma and grandpa's.
We don't have to. We don't have that.
I guess
it's all in Ontario, man. We have nothing here. Yeah, we just got back from a trip to Ontario. The wife and I were kid-free for the first time in 8 years while we were there.
That's crazy.
Let me tell you how many potential babies were made there. Like 8. Now we were asleep by 8:30.
Yeah, I know how it goes. Man, you're not fooling anybody.
Yeah, we ordered Chinese food and clocked out. It was done. Kids
try
were
again tomorrow.
4 nights, man. They were gone for like 4 nights. It was like, whoa, do we even have kids anymore? I'm like in the shower, and the wife's in the shower, and we're just talking. You get out, and it's so quiet here. I forgot I had kids for a couple days. It was crazy. I was like,
she's just stressing out because it's like, are the kids clothed? Are they fed? Are they bathed? Did they brush their teeth?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Meanwhile, dads are just like, exactly that. Do I even have kids?
Yeah. Fuck. Oh, dude. Yeah. It's a wild time. I can't wait until, my oldest is old enough to babysit.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, or old enough to go have sleepovers. Go sleep over somewhere,
Yeah.
We were talking about that the other day, man. Speaking of kids, having a different life these days. At my daughter's age, my daughter can't leave the backyard, right? At her age, I figured out how to go like fucking an hour away on my bike, and I was
as far
gone.
As you could go.
Yeah, I was gone. As soon as I could ride my bike and I figured out how I could get around, I was there. And I didn't have a map to get me home. I went and got lost, and then I'm like, I worked my way to the street. I'm like, okay, so I live off this street somewhere, whether it's that way or this way. I'll go that way, and if I can't find my house for the first hour, I'll turn back and go that way, right?
Yeah.
And like my wife and I were talking about that today. She's like, it's fucking wild, dude. Like you just had to get lost, and then you had to figure it out.
Oh man, it's the best. I'm like, let's kick it back to the 90s. That's, the way we're trying to raise our kids. It's like, get rid of the technology, get rid of all that stuff, and like, let's just keep it simple. Go play outside. Go run around the neighborhood. Be a responsible menace.
I'm putting an air tag in my daughter's shoe as soon as I can.
That's actually pretty smart though.
It's happened. She went and played at a friend's house like fucking 6 doors down, and we had an air tag in her shoe. Right? It was just like, it's
just in case. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's also the times that we live in.
Yeah. Yeah, if I saw a white van, I was avoiding anything that didn't involve a hockey stick or a bike, right? So or a girl, like if you put a pretty girl with a hockey stick in the back of a white van, I didn't eat candy. So if you like, hey, I got hockey sticks in this white van, you want a hockey stick? I would come in and shop for hockey
sticks.
I'm
in.
I'm in, bro. Hey, yeah, I'm in. And I'm going through puberty. Hey, that fucking like 30-year-old girl you got driving there, like she's saying hi to a 10-year-old kid. Shit, steal me, right? Like, let's go.
Yeah, like you don't even care what the consequences are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. By the way, you steal me, I talk a lot, and like you'll probably be dropping me. You'll be dropping me back off at home within an hour. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. Kid, where do you fucking live? I will give an apology note to your parents. Yeah. You know, sorry I stole your kid. He's annoying. Keep him on a leash.
Yeah, he's yours. I don't want him.
He can't fetch me anything on the dark web.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dude. Wild. Man, I don't want to keep you too much longer here. It's okay. Time, but I'm gonna go cuddle up with my wife too, before she falls asleep here. Go watch some Oilers Panthers highlights. Yeah, get my last little bit of hockey content in before September, October.
Yeah.
But before I wrap up the podcast, man, I like to ask one last question, and Mount Rushmore has 4 of the most influential people on the Rock, right? And if you could have your own Mount Rushmore, 4 people that you look up to, inspired to be, or that inspired you, who would you have up there and why?
Man, that's a deep one.
Yeah, I spend the whole fucking episode just like making dick jokes. You Jared Quiring,
and then you just dig in deep right at the end. Hey,
dig in deep, yeah.
So, yeah, it's like going in there and then just like cuddling in at the end and whispering in my ear.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh man. 4 people.
It's like spending the whole episode being like, look at
an
Decker, and then being like, did you come?
Right. You know what? One that I'm a big fan of, and just inspiration, and was a huge, I guess, really helped me shift my mindset. Cameron Haynes. I don't know if you've heard of him, read of him.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah. So he's a bow hunter out of Oregon, and turned into an ultra marathoner, like ultra endurance athlete. Trains with David Goggins, all of them. He's buddies with Joe Rogan. Got him into bow hunting. I got hooked on him like probably about 8 or 9 years ago now, and just his mentality, right? And it's just that it really drove home to me the fear of being average, right? And that's become one of my biggest fears now is being average, right? When it's, the average person comes home after work, they eat their dinner, and then they sit on the couch till they go to sleep. It's like, I don't want that. Like that's not life. That's not living. Like, I want to get out there. I want to push my body. I want to push my mind. I want to find my limits. Like, I want to know what my breaking point is.
Yeah.
He was a big push for me for that one. I'd lump them together unless I just use it as, an easy 2 would honestly be my parents. You know what? My parents they're just old school. They were farmers back in Saskatchewan. They lost the farm, moved out to Alberta. And I mean, I struggled with them growing up, and we had our tough moments, but there's not a chance I'd be where I'm at if it wasn't for them and teaching me work ethic. My mom's a country girl. Like, she's got a wicked sense of humor. She's, the older I get, the more you learn that she's a total badass. But a good person, good heart. Yeah. I'd throw them on there. And that's kind of an easy on the spot cop out, but we'll throw them on there. And a 4th. Oh man. Yeah, it's tough. You know what? I had a really good mentor. I'm going to put him on there because same thing. It really, and it definitely helps me now doing what I do in teaching and training guys. Is I was fortunate enough for about a 2-year period. I had one of the best mentors you could possibly imagine. Pushed me work wise like I've never been pushed before. Taught me how to, again, deal with people, interact with people, how to manage your emotions and remove them from work, right? but he came into a time in life when I needed that the most, right? I was a young kid. I was struggling. I, didn't know what I wanted to do. I, was mad at the world. And to get a guy like that stepped in and took me under his wing for those couple of years, like that was huge. So yeah, I'll put those as my 4 for right now.
We all need someone that, like, in the blue collar world, right? We all need someone that, like, just fucking lights that fire,
Yeah.
I got
hardest guy I've ever worked for.
Yeah,
toughest guy ever.
Yeah, I got a guy that's somewhat similar. That his name's Rob, and when I started working, I do road construction in the summer, and in the winter I do oil field. That's why in the summer I have a beard. I have a beard right now because I'm off. But like, that guy, he was my he wasn't my boss yet when I started working with him, right? And he was well on his way to being the boss, and always dropping, like, slapping me in the face with knowledge and I guess mentorship, if you want to call it that. And I remember when I first told him, it was my second season in, and we were all doing like a bonding thing during orientation. It's like, what's something we were just thrown in a group together, him and I just happened to be in the same group. And I was like, what's something that bonds you guys? What's something that you guys have in common that you guys can build a relationship off of? We looked at each other and he's like, we're both fathers, right? And I just had my fucking first kid. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And like we like, dapped each other up. And he said some pretty important shit to me over the years. I was having a hard time. I was like, just fucking grinding it out. I like to be just a monster at work, right? I like to just get in there. And I was paired up with some people that, had no ethic or ethic that I wanted them to have. And I was complaining to him about it a little bit. And he's like, hey, man, he's like, you ever stop and think about why race horses wear blinders? And I'm like, shit. He's like, it's concentrate on what you're doing. Run your own race, man. Forget about this noise, right? And I'm like, fuck, dude. I never thought of it like that before, and you catch him on a bad day and you'll be like, fuck what I said. But like, he's like,
they still show you that little bit of humanity, or that they're still human. But I can't stress enough, like, having a good mentor, how amazing that is. Because then, you know what, you work with the guy, he ended up relocating, and then I went from having the best mentor in the world that you could possibly ask for to absolutely no one. And I crashed and burned. I had like a 3-year period where I'm just like, I don't even know if I want to do construction anymore. Like, I felt so lost, right?
I know, I get, I know when he doesn't work there anymore, I know it's going to be a hard place to go to, right? He's the boss. There's only one, when you climb so far up the ladder, there's only really one place for you to go after that. And I think that time for him is coming. It's time for him to spread his wings and go somewhere else and climb further. He's gone as far as he can go here, right? And that's heartbreaking, right? He said a lot of good shit to me. When I was 25, I met him when I was 25, man. And he where'd he go? Did his phone battery just die? Oh.
Gotta love technology.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. I don't know what was up.
Technology's a bitch, man. The amount of technical difficulties we've had in the last 2 years just on this podcast, that's the name of the game, right?
It's all right. It was time for a word from your sponsors, wasn't it?
Oh, fuck yeah, man. I used that time wisely. I played with myself a little bit. I talked to my wife, I texted her a little bit. She's getting a little lonely, but I was saying, fuck it. That's what editing's for, anyways. Like, shout out to the man who made the editing, easier. I couldn't do it before. Yeah, exactly, man. I was saying, I was 25 when I met my boss there, right? And he was much older, and he's like, you know what, dude? Like, honestly, we had the conversation this year when I was talking about my mental health and how, like, I figured this out and shit. It's like, dude, I've been telling you for years something's going on, right? And he's like, why do you think I just let you talk your shit all the time? Anytime I get near a radio, right, I say some shit. You know, I'm always on the radio, and he's like, why do you think I just let you talk your shit all the time? And you know, I just let you do it, and I let you talk and do things.
Yeah.
And, like, it's your outlet, man. He's like, I let you do it because you need it, right? And man, like, you know, that guy, I love that guy, man. When I tell you I love you, a lot of the time when I say I love you to people, it's just shooting the shit, making things awkward and joking around.
Yeah.
I tell that guy I love him, man. It's up there with fuck, I love you. You know, like,
it's there. It's genuine.
It's there, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If we were gay, if our last names were Quiring, you know,
you'd be all on it, hey.
He's a Viking. He's got a big, beautiful beard. He's a big dude, and he would do some damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? No, I mean, I don't know the guy. I'm not judging, but I mean, sometimes those big guys, they like to be little spoon. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man.
They need their moment.
I had a mini poodle one time, and I watched this mini poodle mount plenty of golden retrievers. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe I'm the mini poodle in that situation, you know. Like,
you might be.
Get out the Vaseline, buddy, you know, like yeah, man. I don't want to keep you, bud, but you know, thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been a good chat.
I have a lot of fun, you know, recording and having this outlet and being a part of this community or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you know, I get excited to record. I get excited to edit. I get excited on podcast days when it's released every Tuesday. Episode came out today, man. And you know, fucking, I haven't missed a Tuesday in 2 years. So man,
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Again, like it just shows how awesome this community is. And like I said, even when my Instagram got pulled down there, you know, the 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, like how many people just reached out and offered support. And, you know, it was, hey, what can we do? How can we, you know, get the word out and keep promoting you or whatever? Like, man, complete random strangers that are willing to step up and, you know, have your back. That was cool, man.
Hell yeah, man. I knew I followed your account before.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure I already follow this guy, right? Yeah. And then you reach out, hey man, thanks for following the account back, you know? And I'm like, okay, so you lost it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Like, oh shit, you know, like
yeah. No, that's cool.
It's pretty cool, man. But I appreciate you taking the time out and, you know, coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And shit, and being along on this ride with me. And, you know,
it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it gives me something to do, you know, it gives me an outlet. And, you know, aside from the content's not always TikTok will go away one day. Instagram will go away one day. The podcast is my way of cementing how I stay. I get to choose when this goes away. You know, one day, you know, I'll try to log on TikTok and it won't be there, right? Or Instagram will kick me out or something. This is my way of being. Dick ain't going nowhere, you know.
And that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I love that. And I like talking to, you know, blue collar people from all over. So
yeah. That's awesome.
Man. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Absolutely. It's been good.
Mr. Quiring, stay frosty.
I will.